Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Guile here, and welcome back to another Supreme Commander Epic. That's right, it's that time of the... I was about to say time of the week, but that's not true because I haven't been here for a while. And I was about to say time of the month, but that's not a particularly good way of saying it. Suffice to say, it's been a while, but now we have some epicosity coming your way. And this is a time of year when everyone's going nuts with capitalism. Everyone's providing for their families at Christmas. We stopped to take stock of the fact that not everything in this world can be bought. Fortunately, though, happiness is one of those things, because for the low and reasonable price of £10 or $15 or whatever the equivalent is in your local currency, you can afford to pick up Supreme Commander Forged Alliance, which unfortunately, if you did miss it, was actually just on a bundle deal a few weeks back for a very ultra low price. But £10 or $15 is still pretty reasonable, I think you'll understand, for a game which is still just as awesome as it was on the day it was released back in 2007. Anyway, that's enough of that. I shouldn't even be doing that because this isn't part of the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series, but you know what? When you haven't put out many videos, for the obvious reasons that I haven't of late, I have to bundle these things in when I can. Let's get on with today's game. It's going to be a custom 4v4, and that's going to take place on, I don't know if it's a brand new map to FAF, but it's certainly a new map to Guilecast, and that map is Funeral Plains. I'm ready, you guys are ready, and the players are sure as hell ready, so let's go on over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. Remember, epicosity matches, guys, typically run for longer than an hour, generally speaking, so afford plenty of time to watch this. And if you can't watch it now, dump it in your watch later playlist on YouTube and check it out when you have time. All right, let's have a look at our players. As usual, we'll call this Team 1 up here at the top and this Team 2 down here at the bottom. Going first for Team 1 up here in Elephantine Grey. He's going UEF, very sensible. It's Morax, and he is opening first land. And next up to him, just to the south in Fecal Brown, we have Athelis. He's misclicked and gone Cybran, opening first land. After him, returning to the UEF theme, it's none other than our head balance counselor, Mr. Zoc, in his, well, of late, customary Halle-Borange orange, and he's going UEF, as we said, opening first land. And last but not least, another UEF. It's the latest addition to the balance team. Congratulations, sir, on your election of late. It's Taquito in his customary green, but not his customary Cybran. He's also going UEF. So 3 UEF there and a Cybran for Team 1. Let's take a look at Team 2. In Burgundy Red, first of all, down here, it's Farmschlet, who I posed a question the other day. What does that mean? And I was told it's actually, I think it's Danish or Dutch or something for Eco-Hor. So there you go. You are now informed if you didn't know what that meant, but I'm going to carry on calling him Farmschlet because... well, that sounds a little bit less offensive. And there he goes. It is customary Burgundy Red. And I think he's generally rocking the UEF mostly of late. Next up, in Electric Blue, above him, it's a Chief Jaguar, also going UEF. There's a strong theme in this game. Opening first and second land. Team member number 3 already on his way to the middle, breaking with tradition. It's the first Aeon player of the game, Pappy Noob, breaking right towards the center of the map. He opened first land, and last but not least, over here at the far left, my good friend Aquilic in Regal Purple, also going Aeon there, opening first land and going second air. Also some more factories popping up over here, so who knows what the actual second factory will be. So there we go. We can got time to just take a look at the map. So we've got this large kind of plateau section in the middle. As you can see, it's always hard when you first glimpse to know if it's raised or depressed, but I think you can agree that that is firmly depressed. So you have the raised sections around the edges, a small crater in the center, not a huge amount of mass in the middle, a few mass points here. It looks to be about 12 mass points and then 2 in the center, and then you have a few more scattered on the flanks to left and right. Small bases over here with various defensive T1 defensive structures, land and air, and a radar in there as well that can be reclaimed. I'm guessing that's the E for Empire Clan, so someone from Empire Clan designed this map. I'm not sure what makes it so funerally about it. Who on earth would bury their dead in such a place? Well, I guess the Cybran structures gives you a clue. They have some pretty strange customs when you think about it. Their affinity with latex and electrical appliances. Make of that what you will. But anyway, so one ACU moving towards the center for the moment, or at least he's stationary while he gets a LAN factory online. Another one actually moving out this time from Team 1 over here. That's Ithillis. He's on the move. Where's he going? Is he going to be personally laying down that build order? Yes, he is. So he's going to get a factory next to that hydro as well. We do have various labs, scouts, T1 units flocking through the middle, mostly and most aggressively from Team 1, it has to be said, although I think that's first blood there to Pappy Noob as he picks off a scout there belonging to Morax. Another snoop about to go down for Morax, I think, over here as it runs into some Auroras from the Quilich. And the couple of labs he had stationed over here, these mech marines are probably going to have to think about relocating. Although if he's paying attention, he might have spied those engineers being dropped over the top from the Quilich. Quick divert waypoint there, might be able to take that out. Might not need to, actually, because there is a striker in the area there as well. However, Quilich moving in to defend that. In fact, he's going to drop that back so it's out of harm's way. Very sensible. Little bit of air fracas going on over here in the east. Akito picking off one of Farmschlett's air scouts over there. Quilich is going to drop off all three of those engineers. Morax doesn't like what he sees there. He's going straight in with the striker, trying to pick off those NGs. Takes one of them down. Has another striker coming in as well. That first striker succumbs to the Aurora pressure. Will he pick off the other two NGs and stall this land grab is the question. There goes one of them, and a little bit of help there from Ithillis. That will be a repel, or will it? In comes the Quilich with hands-on ACU action rolling in from the southwest. He's going to beat down those Mantis from Ithillis, and I'll be imagining he'll be setting up shop personally with that land factory. Pappy Noob, meanwhile, has moved forward a little bit. He's got another factory down and is working on a third in the center there. We've got a Chief Jaguar in the middle now as well. He's throwing down an upgrade on his commander, but Morax going all out with his commander. See where his waypoint's headed. Well, he's coming in for the reclaim in the crater in the middle. We can see there's some big rocks to be had in there, so banking that for him and his team if he's got little space left in his storage, but you see he doesn't. Plenty in there, so he'll be hoovering up most of that for himself, I would imagine. Lots and lots of planes now available on the field to both teams, neither being used excessively, both predominantly in defensive air roles. Take a quick look at the eco situation. Zoc out in front. That might be a temporary blip up to the 40s, but around 29. Zoc and Pappy Noob definitely the two leaders in this one, so one for each team there. Short stacking is Quilich and Ithillis. You'd imagine a map like this to lend itself to more epics, because as long as the teams are evenly balanced, which they are almost, we're at 91.25% game quality, you would imagine it to be a decent setup on a map like this, purely because the starting locations are so very tight. So it's going to be hard for either team to dislodge the other. Hard to separate one team from another. Of course, it's always the chance of ACUs getting separated from their forces and getting picked off in the middle of the field, and there's plenty of ACUs that could be vulnerable any second. The Quilich out on the plateau, can't get mobbed. He's in good position to fire down the cliff face on Ithillis' T1 spam. Ithillis is pretty far forward away from his own troops. Pappy Noob does have some forces on the ground over there and slightly to the east as well, but nothing that's going to be able to cut him off in any good time. But Morax now dipping into the yellow as Pappy Noob advances forward with his comm and some of the furthers, takes him down to around 6,900 HP, but he's going to have more than enough time to scooch on out of there and get behind the line of T1 spam from Ithillis. Meanwhile, to the eastern edge of the central section, a little bit of a tangle between a Chief Jaguar and Zoc. Chief Jaguar actually at T2 now. You can see a pillar in the mix there for him. It's the first T2 unit we've seen so far, so he's gone for a quick T2 land upgrade. Ithillis preferring mass T1 spam, it would seem, as is Nikolic. And there could actually be an opportunity for a bit of a pincer movement here from Pappy Noob and Nikolic, from Nikolic, if he can get around the side of Athelis and cut him off. Pappy Noob's actually rolling in with his commander now. Pappy Noob's got 9,000 HP. Athelis has just under 10. Nikolic still on an upgrade up here on his commander. That's about 85-90% done. T1 bomber in over the top, takes out the radar, but that promptly gets shot down. No major damage caused there. A little bit of loss of intel, but Nikolic could deal with that for the time being. Upgrade very nearly complete. We'll come back to that in just a second. Meanwhile, Farmschlet and Taquito tangle at the right flank. And Taquito with 2 upgrades on the commander already. It's got the Zeph amp on the gun there and the nano repair. I forget what they refer to that on the com, terrible as that is. All the vets now screaming at me. Why are you looking that up? It is just the nano repair. I thought I was going crazy. Pappy Noob and Athelis tangling in the middle, both now into the yellow. Pappy Noob on around 7,000, Athelis on 7,200, so relatively even exchanges there. Morax getting an upgrade on his com. Wouldn't be surprised if that was the T2 engineering suite to regain some of that HP. Nikolic went for the, what is that? Cloak? Jesus, Guile. This is when you haven't played the game for so long and you haven't casted for so long. Enhanced Sensor Suite. That's because no one used to build that. That's be no doubt one of the updates in the recent patches that I haven't been able to fill you in on. Morax and Pappy exchanging fire. Morax went for the Zeph amp instead of the engineering suite. Pappy Noob still without an upgrade. And Zoc has thrown up a TAC missile launcher in the middle and is going after forward T2 mechs, maybe, belonging to Pappy Noob. No, it's going straight in towards the base. That actually reaches a lot further than I thought it was going to. He's going straight after Core Mass now. Pappy Noob, one of the leaders on Eco, now dropping behind Zoc on 52, Pappy Noob on 39, and there's more missiles incoming and no TMD in sight, so Pappy Noob likely to drop further in terms of eco. Athelis shadowing Nikolic as he seems to be chasing down Morax up here. Morax needs to be careful. He has got that gun upgrade, but there's a lot of spam on the field and that commander as well. If he loses position, could find himself in a tricky situation, but he's backing up towards the canyon over here where he has some T1 PDs online, so he's going to be safe for the time being. And so yeah, as I was saying, it's a bit like a lot of the other corner maps, things like Pyramid and Hilly Plateau and stuff like that, where the teams are quite close-knit on either end, and unless someone gets caught, it can be difficult to pick off individual team members, and that can serve to extend games, of course, especially with the amount of bonus you get from reclaiming wrecks. Can really penalize attackers. Something of note, since we have 2 balanced counselors in the game today. Just my 2 cents. Not anything new. People have been complaining about that for a long time. Athelis now under pressure, though, from a Chief Jaguar. Has a huge column of pillars rolling forward. Athelis down below 5,000 as they prioritize the commander. He's going to dip into the red any second, but he gets a quick ranking vet, which restores a decent chunk of health, but it's going to be back in the red any second. There he goes, sub 2,500 now. We've also got T1 moving in from Pappy Noob. Athelis might make it out alive. He needs to duck and weave as best he can. This would be a shocking blow to Team 1. In comes Taquito with a quick com drop to help alleviate the pressure. Throws in an overcharge and picks off a pillar, but is it going to be enough? No, it's not. Athelis goes down at 12.5 minutes. Taquito tries to save his buddy, but arrives just too late. And that is a tremendous little victory there for Team 2. Aquilage and Pappy Noob taking a bit of fire over here, as is Morax. That is great timing there from a Chief Jaguar. Very significant force rolling up the center. Phyllis thought he had more space. Evidently proved wrong on that particular occasion. Taquito and Farm Schlet and Chief Jaguar tangle with their interceptors over the top of a Chief Jaguar. Air engagement went better initially there for Taquito, killing off the support, but it's all taken place over the top of a Skyboxer, so his own interceptors getting creamed once that fight was completed. A couple of Vipers from Farm Schled over here, taking out the T1 emplacements from the neutral. They say neutral, but they're not really neutral when they open up on you. But yeah, these places open for reclaim now, and looks like it's the Quilich that's picked them off over here with a drop up at the top. Either that or it's Morax and the Quilich has taken advantage. Morax could be about to clear that out, however. Commander, 3-starred, looking healthy in the green with shield coverage and plenty of T2 tank support. It's going to be tough for Naquilich to hold on to anything of significance in that top left-hand corner. Farmschlet consolidating his position down here at the bottom right. So many UEF now on the map. You can never tell with the pros because so many of them pick random as an option going into these team games. So you never know what's by design unless you have the opportunity to speak to them about it before or after. Taquito airdropping his commander back onto the eastern plateau. Zoc now with some good triad coverage in the middle. Those triads fixed on one lone remaining T1 mass extractor that's hidden in the crater there, belonging to a Chief Jaguar. They're not going to get any ground or headway with that, thanks to the relief of the land blocking those shells. Healthy congregation of Janus up here as well for Zoc. Perhaps thinking of a quick T2 fighter bomber snipe against one of the comms, maybe Naquilich or Pappy Noob, who was pretty far forward over here. That opportunity looks like it may have slipped away. Naquilich has backed off. He's still looking a little weak in terms of HP. He's down on around 5,700. Pappy Noob has withdrawn right back to base though, so he's looking pretty safe right now, getting some T2 P-gens online. And after that initial frenzied start, that first 12.5, 13 minutes, right up to the death of Phyllis, things now calming down as these guys settling in and starting to eco a little harder. Zoc, the master, out in front by a comfortable way, 87 up against Farmschlet on 68, Morax on 63, and we've got a Chief Jaguar on 59, 51 for Pappy Noob, 50 for Taquito, and Naquilich on 41. Of course, Zoc, though, no doubt cannibalizing some of his fallen comrades' resource options. There they are indeed, so that will be part and parcel of why he is so far ahead of the rest of the field. A normal excuse would just be, well, it's Zoc. Morax now looking aggressive as he plunges forward, with a decent mix of units. We've got some ranged in there, 1 or 2 Flapjack mobile missile launchers. We've got a little bit of flak in there from a Skyboxer or 2. We've got a Parashield. Main body of the force as, of course, the column of pillars, but it's going to run straight into a small T1 defensive position belonging to Nequilic. That Eruptor stubbornly refusing to die. There it goes. T2 Mexor 2 will follow now, so that's a nice little dent in Nequilic's eco, which is already short stacking against the rest of the field. Apologies if you can hear my dog barking in the background. Still working on his personality disorder. His disorder is that he's just a dog. Pappy Noob rolling in with a couple of Obsidians over here, but the sheer quantity of pillars over here is just going to run over the handful of Aeon tanks. Shields taking a while to chew through. But a win on the ground, and Morax is going to back up now, and it's not a bad decision as we're starting to see T3 emerge from Nequilic. One Harbinger making it up to that position. Sensible decision making. Let's take a look at what's going on in the main base of Team 1. So we've got T3 power on the way there for Morax. Zok, who's now essentially sitting on 2 bases, is working on his second T3 P-Gen. And starting to produce broadswords as well, so that's an interesting new dynamic to the whole thing. Taquito holding his ground up front with his commander. Lots of T1 P-Gens around factories that never got built, or if they did, they got reclaimed. Compare that with Team 2 down here. Not a lot going on in terms of building. So we know we're at T3 for Nequilic. He's getting an upgrade on his comm. Pappy Noob's at T3 land as well. Chief Jaguar's base, much more scattered than the others. His comm's looking pretty chunky. He's got 3 upgrades on there already. And working on a secondary upgrade, maybe the T3 engineering suite, or replacing the Zeph amp. He's got personal shield on there, so chunky looking commander right there. Farmschlet and Taquito on this right side in relatively stationary position. Flapjacks trading fire against triads of Taquito. One Buzzkill trying to keep up with that Flapjack fire. Most of them breaking through and hitting the shield. UEF TMD, not the greatest. Chief Jaguar still on that upgrade. 20 minutes down, and you get the feeling with the way things are headed, plenty to go. T3 Air Factory from scratch over here for Zok, not wasting any time with the upgrades, still working on producing broadswords, which are now going in for the attack against a Chief Jaguar's forward position. Down goes the shield gen. Broadswords go straight after the air cleaner. That's the biggest threat, of course, towards the gunships. A couple of strap bombers in the mix as well. Down goes the shield. A little bit of collateral damage against the shield of a Chief Jaguar's comm. In comes the air defense from Team 2, but Zok by far and away ahead in terms of interceptor numbers, doing good work in the air on this portion of the map. Farmschlet bypassing Zok's interceptors though with his own and going straight after the broadswords, and that is all of the broadswords down in one go. Nice work from him, coupled with of course the air to or ground to air defenses there of Achieved Jaguar. Those broadswords dealt with surprisingly effectively. Perhaps Zok's just a little bit too eager to pull the trigger on that one. He's now producing ASFs. You get the feeling maybe just a couple more of those and a diversionary push to clean up some of Team 2's air might have had more success on that particular attack. Still, first major tangle in air terms of this match so far, so it's always hard to judge. Taquito with his balls out, rolling straight up to Farmschlet's front gates and assaulting them. Overcharge or two in there, picking off a couple of units, but Taquito eating a lot of defensive fire. He's down to 10,000 hit points on the comm, but it's about 60% of where he would be at full health. Still firing overcharges in when he can manage it. Gets an upgrade in HP when he hits the next rank of veterancy. That will give him some breathing room. He's got two Percivals with him to assist, but in comes Zok with a strap bomber and a couple more broadswords. Farmschlet into the yellow now, down to 10,000 hit points. A lot of anti-air fire coming up from the base, and indeed mobile anti-air fire coming in from the southwest as well. Taquito looking pretty aggressive right now, though. Farmschlet gets beneath the parashield, but that promptly runs out of steam and depletes. Taquito looking very isolated here. He doesn't want to get himself picked off. He's going to have to disengage surely as Achieved Jaguar turns up with tons of T2s. Those pillars which we just saw scalp one of his teammates. Could he pull off another kill here at 22 minutes? Zok comes in with another couple of strap bombers. Taquito with 6,300 hit points and falling left on that commander. He's in shouting distance now of that shield. Gets another rank in veterancy, and that surely will be enough to see him to safe territory. Every second that passes sees another pillar destroyed. He might breach down into the red, but he's going to make it. And there's no follow-up to the counter-attack on that either. So, hairy little exchange there for Team 1. Taquito makes it out. Very cagey attack. Nearly lost Farmschlet, then nearly lost Taquito. And ultimately, the front line doesn't shift. Nice, solid engagement there from those players. Good reactions from Achieved Jaguar coming to his teammates' rescue. You can see the power grid and air factories assisted by them going up in Zok's main base. Zok looking to go all out air. Getting some good traction with it, but he's not been able to deal a killing blow as yet. Pappy Noob ready for a feint from Morax. Morax withdrawing, doesn't like the look of the Harbingers. Rolling forward with his commando, which is looking pretty chunky as well now. That's got the personal shield, nano repair, Zeph amp. So Rambocom rolling out for Team 1. Get in there, a quick overcharge in the Harbingers. Follow it up with a push from the Percivals and the Pillars. Could be a potential breach there, but it's getting to that point in the game where you've got to start being a bit concerned about overextending with your commander, even if it is rocking effective hit points of around 35,000 or whatever it might be, 40,000. Taquito's comm now 5-starred under shield coverage. One Percival Ace standing out front with that outrageous weapon. Blapping things as they go. What a wonderful unit it is. I think I was totally within my rights to request that my wife name my son after one. I suppose no son of mine could have such a mighty weapon. But hey, we won't talk about that. Back to Supcom. As the Percival just blaps away at that forward T1 factory. Could be about to see a bit of a shift here. Slowly but surely, Taquito weakening Farm Schlett's forward position. It's now got T3 mobile artillery weakening these shields. Farm Schlett lost about a third of his HP on the base hit points. Shield has recovered, of course. Good combination work between that Percival and the artillery. One lone Harbinger out for Nikolic. Withdrawing in the face of a large pillar push, but use that range and firepower to dance around these tanks and cause huge amounts of damage. Does definitely want to stay away from the Percivals behind it, though. We'll make short work of it. Anti-nuke going up in the center for Zok. It's getting to that time. If you haven't got anti-nuke online in a team game by half an hour, you are asking for it. It's not to say you can't get someone rushing a nuke much quicker than that. Especially in some of the larger games that we're seeing now, up to 7, 8 players aside. Takes one person to dedicate a nuke rush and things can get messy very quickly indeed. Fatboy nearly completed down here for Pappy Noob. Could be the first operational experimental we see in this game. I don't see any others on the way at first glance. As you know, pro level at missing stuff, so could have that completely wrong. Those shields rapidly declining in effective power. Farm Schlett throwing another one up to cover that central one now that's recharging as we speak. But yeah, it goes to show what we were saying earlier. Just look, the fronts have not moved at all. So Morax has walled himself off on that western flank and is withdrawing now with troops behind it. But there is just virtually no benefit to pushing at this stage. You're not going to break through and deal a killing blow, which is why a game like this you would expect to go to the distance if it's reasonably well balanced. I would like to see a significant reduction in the amount of mass that you can scoop out of wrecks. Of course, this isn't probably me operating off outdated data right here. Could well have been changed already in one of the latest patches. That's what happens when you have children. Other things inevitably take a back seat, but a little push here from a Chief Jaguar in the center, rolling up the middle with 3 Percivals, 2 of which pretty badly damaged now, thanks to some strap bomber harassment from Zok. However, they will pick off a couple of Mexes, which will take a chunk out of Zok's eco, and he's not actually in the lead anymore. 188 plays second fiddle to Pappy Noob's 192. And that's with him sitting on 2 bases. Of course, with the loss of Athilis, been a slight power vacuum in the center there for Team 1. They haven't been able to sit as far forward. Team 2, conversely, can, at least for the moment, take advantage of all of the mass points in this portion of the map from a position of relative safety. But anyway, there's the Fat Boy we saw under construction earlier for Pappy Noob, operational, and it's being deployed against Morax at the left flank. Morax withdrawing with his units in the face of that. think it's going to be up to Zok to try and counter this with his air. Seeing another collection of broadswords amassing in the middle as we're about to hit 30 minutes in this game. How are we looking from an anti-air perspective on this side of the map? Well, we've got a lot of asylums over here. Fatboy, of course, has its own shield, so a little bit of blockage there, but we're not seeing much in terms of anti-aircraft weaponry over here. Farmschlet has a pretty decent collection of ASFs over there. Let's see how many he's sitting on. So it looks like he's got, if I can select the right thing, there we go, 31 ASFs, and that compares to Zok's 46. So Zok does have the advantage. I did not mean to select that. We can go to normal speed and then we'll hit observer once again. But nonetheless, Farmschlet well aware of the potential threat to Pappy Noob's Fatboy. He is going to shadow it with his fighters. Zok happy to let it roll forward just a little bit. Wants to be careful. Wants to try and allow Morax to hold on to this T3 mechs if at all possible. What have we got here? Quick drop over at the edge of the map. Percy drop to go after some of the more vulnerable mexers belonging to Morax. Zok dispatches some ASFs to try and shoot down the transport, but won't make it in time. Surely that Fatboy is in position for a rollicking. Gunships caught out in the middle. Their uncharacteristic error from Zok. Tries to capitalize, takes a lot of fire from skyboxes of a Chief Jaguar and absorbs some from Farmschlet's fighters as well. Now he's going to find it even harder to go after that experimental. Farmschlet conducting himself with all of the decorum of a drunk toddler. Got a couple of clink hammers up here. Could do with a few T1P gens to help their rate of fire. And actually, they've been doing pretty good work. That Fatboy's shield has been depleted and it's lost about 3k off its health, and its delaying tactics has allowed Zok enough time to get an experimental up of his own, so we are now officially in the experimental phase of the game. Look at that. Clink hammers countering very effectively indeed. Why we didn't see more of a commitment in air power from Zok. That will give Morax plenty of breathing room and, importantly, of course, held onto that T3 mass pump that was looking vulnerable. Over in the east, we've still got this standoff between Taquito and Farmschlet. Farmschlet working on as many clink hammers as he can fit into that space. However, I actually like the positioning of that. I know they've got a better firing arc than they used to, but I'm a bit worried about the hill that he's put straight in front of them. I'm sure they'll fire over that. You can see that one managing it just fine. Closer range targets might struggle, and they're facing off against a battalion of demolishers, a platoon which is peppering these shielded lines up front. Farmschlet with decent numbers of shield gens though. And balance not quite restored. About to say it looked like Zoc had reclaimed his rightful place at the top of the eco tree, but he actually hasn't. Pappy Noob is just rolling in eco right now. 249 against 226 there, next highest for Team 1. Morax on 211, not too far behind. Farmschled on 200. Taquito momentarily spikes over the 216 and drops back to 185. And the Kulich on 190. Chief Jaguar on 175. They're the lower end players in terms of eco. Spy planes out there for Pappy Noob, getting a quick scope of what's going on. We actually haven't taken a quick look at what's happening in the bases for a while, so we've got another experimental on the way, but look out, rapid fire artillery on the way for Pappy Noob, and that's what I was saying. Game like this, it's going to be game enders. It has to be, really. So hard to break your opponent's lines any other way, and it means that you can get away with building the large super weapons because you're just not under as much pressure as you would be in a game where the teams are more spread out. Zoc putting that fat boy to good use against a Chief Jaguar's positions in the middle now. That fat boy we saw earlier with 88 kills now belonging to Pappy Noob that was assaulting Morax on the left flank. That's recovered its lost health. Shield almost at full as well. Couple of broadswords. Moving out on the east flank straight into the jaws of death. Not exactly sure what's going on there. That must have been a misclick from Zoc. Taquito and Zoc sharing mass, and well, this is interesting. So we've got a strategic missile launcher complete. Missile about 20% done there for Zoc. We've got a Duke that's just started over there, and Zoc doing an upgrade on his commander as well. So he's nothing if not greedy. Our leader of balance, if I can call him that. That's if he still is. I don't know if there's been a reshuffle in terms of hierarchy in the balance team. So Farmschled seems to have been absorbing the most damage from this artillery exchange. Static versus mobile, but the first nuke is out and it's not from Zoc. So Chief Jaguar has been sitting on a nuke launcher for some time. The question is, where is it going and who is going to suffer for it? Looks like it's heading up here, up towards Morax. He thinks it's him. He's already on the move. He has an SMD in place, but the missile is not loaded. That's about 60% done. And it's going straight after that position. That will connect, unless there's any I've missed. No, there aren't. That's going to be a tough loss indeed. Morax chunk taking it out of his eco, and he must be reclaiming something big. There's no way he's on 314 after absorbing that hit. Even on 304, there's some benefit he's getting from all the mexes over here that other people haven't teched up. Or so yeah, 264 there for him. That's a more realistic. It's still pretty good though, especially after eating the nuke. He did lose a few significant production facilities in there. Lost the T3 power plant as well. Commander got out nice and easily. Now two fat boys in the middle for Zoc, but as soon as I mention it, one of them goes pop in the center there. Pappy Noob's fat boy coming in from the west has been taking a bit of fire, but Zoc might lose another one as well. That last one on just 1,200 hit points, 1,300, another volley inbound. Pappy Noob surely going to be able to stop in his track. Can't seem to get that last volley that was required off. If it's almost worth Zoc taking that back and control K-ing it, hoovering up the mass. So badly damaged. Mind you, fat boys don't have a lot of hit points. Don't want to take that long to recharge compared to, say, megalith or something like that. But Farmschlet making a push up the eastern edge of the map. It's going to kill off a T3 mass extractor for Taquito. Lovely little push. It must have been around the side there and in around the back. Makes it into this depressed region. No, sorry, it's not a depressed region. That is a plateau up the side of the map. Taquito with his own Percivals moving in on the position, but Zoc softening them up from the skies with some strap bomb work. Should be able to deal with those nice and easily before any more damage gets dealt out. Might lose that one Percival there, Taquito. The rest will be his. So Farmschlet dropping back slightly. Just one Clink Hammer remaining from that bank we saw him putting together earlier. Farmschlet spies Zoc's T3 artillery, which is complete. Nice teamwork there from Zoc and Taquito. Little extra T3 power support. And Zoc now has a nuke loaded in that missile launcher as well.
Strategic launch detected.
This is when Zoc renames his name to Zook now, just to be difficult. If you're watching, sir, please don't. FAF renaming is literal cancer. But that nuke launched now and going after Farmschlet, who's on an upgrade, who hasn't moved his comm. Taquito shouting wrecked in local, and that literally hits him in the face. They didn't even need to have a warhead on board. That the missile casing would have done the job perfectly. Didn't even bother to move there. Farmschlet blaming everybody else for that one. But there you go. So at 39 minutes on the dot, Zoc levels it in terms of team numbers. And now Team 2 find themselves in a position where they have T3 static artillery raining down on their first base. Pappy Noob has committed himself to an enormous and expensive project, the Salvation there. No doubt we'll be getting some extra help from the Quillage soon enough, but it's going to be a while before that comes online. If it comes online at all, question is, have Team 1 spotted it? It does look like Zoc's artillery shells are raining down. If he didn't spot it before, he will now, as a couple of spy planes roll in right over the top of that site. I will be astonished if that thing goes active. Quillage could do a lot worse than to spam shields around this position now. There's not a particularly significant amount of shield gens around it, especially not with Pappy Noob suffering power outages as he tries to funnel more mass into that Salvation. Shield gens going up over here as well to protect the air production facilities. Two Fat Boys online over here now for Pappy Noob, who might be moving into a position where they can threaten Taquito. Taquito does have a Fat Boy of his own named Board Download. Shudder to think what he's downloading. What do you usually download when you're bored? Answers in the comment section below. Clean only, please. Couple of engineers foolishly stroll too close to that Fat Boy's range of fire. And in come some spearheads up here for Morax. Yay, the lovely spearheads. That could be taxing potentially for Nikolic over there. Has a few volcanoes in place, but of course those spearheads spam out so many missiles. Can be difficult even for the outrageously good Aeon TMD to keep up with. But in comes Pappy Noob now with those two Fat Boys we saw earlier. Taquito in position with his own Fat Boy under some base shields as well. Has got another Fat Boy under construction, and that's in the green as well. It was 75% complete, but I don't know if it's going to. Pappy Noob, though, loses one of his Fat Boys. And he might well lose the second as well. A Chief Jaguar rolling in with a horde of Percivals to back it up, but I don't think that second Fatty's going to get out of there. They're not known for their speed for good reason. There it goes, and in comes Zoc as well with a significant quantity of strap bombers on top of that horde of Percivals. And a Chief Jaguar backing up. That was a costly little attack there for Team 2.
Strategic launch detected.
And there goes another nuke out from Chief Jaguar. We'll keep an eye on that as we take a look at the western edge of the flank. There's a lot of Harbingers on the move, and they're actually tearing through the Percivals. That's how many there are of Morax. Where is that nuke going? Well, it looks like it's targeting Morax once again. This time going for this other well-developed position, I think, up on the ridge. Will it take out the T3 power plant as well? No, it won't. It'll be out of range. Morax absorbs that hit, drops him off below 300 mass again, but he's still looking pretty darn good in terms of eco. But now a counter push in the center from Taquito's Fat Boys, of which there are two, but a very significant TAC missile launch from a Chief Jaguar in the middle. Looks like it's going after an older position of Taquito's ACU. Taquito staying mobile, though, which is sensible in the circumstances. Sounded like a bit of a northerner there. Circumstances. Taquito's central Fat Boy succumbs to counter Fat Boy pressure. So many Fat Boys here today. There goes a Chief Jaguar's Fatty in the center, but Taquito's second Fat Boy download over here, maybe about to die to a Restorer push. Those Harbingers we saw pushing earlier from the Quillage now under strap bomber attack. And a wave of spy planes roll out towards Zoc's base. How are we getting on with the salvation? Well, it's very nearly done indeed. But it's heavily damaged, and the shield gens are going down. They're surely going to lose that. And they need to be careful. The Quillage is looking pretty low indeed. Pappy Noob not looking great. They're both standing next to a T3 power plant. But there goes the salvation, and that's huge for Team 1 that now have a significant advantage in that T3 static artillery of Zocs. What a game changer that has proved to be. Still one nuke loaded in the silo, ready to go. Morax spread out, has absorbed 2 nukes now. And he's pretty much devoid of all production capacity. He's working on getting some more together up over here. He needs to get some SMD online, otherwise he's just going to get nuked again. Restorers cleaning house over here. Taking on some fire from some ASFs belonging to Morax. Shells seem to be coming thick and fast. So there's 2 Dukes in the center there. Well, that's what I've missed. Or there was 2 Dukes. The first one, the initial one that was built, I think, just succumbed to a massive TAC missile strike in the center. And boy, how they will regret not prioritizing that sooner. They were in pretty strong position too as well. Will they lose the second Duke as well? This will be a huge leveling factor if a Chief Jaguar can take this out now. And yes, he manages it. Support commander dies somewhere. Thought I'd missed a comm kill there for a moment, but that is a catastrophic loss for Team 1. And not only that, the wrecks of them are now dying as well, thanks to continued pressure from those TAC missile batteries, which are now history thanks to a strap bomber run from Zoc. So play and counterplay alive and well here at 45 minutes in this game. There was a long, slow, relatively tense build-up to this one, but it's in full flight now. These guys responding to one another very quickly indeed, and suddenly Team 2 looked pretty good after that strike. The pressure's gone from the Dukes in the middle of Zoc's base, and that Salvation, the wreck having not been destroyed, is once again looking close to completion, or at least 60 to 65% complete. And if that goes online, Team 1 really are in trouble. Chief Jaguar starting a Duke of his own, pinging for assistance on that. She looks like assistance is on the way from Pappy Noob. Might just be helping the Fat Boy though. I'm gonna say, if you're serious about getting the Salvation online, you need to take a bit of a back seat on some of the major building works. But now another Restorer push from Pappy Noob going after exposed Fat Boys belonging to Taquito, but in comes Zoc's Air Wing, and that should cut those Restorers down to size pretty easily. They'll lose some ASFs in the process, but far more of a costly engagement there for Pappy Noob. Just little or no prospect of anyone breaking on the ground through anything other than standoff tactics. That's why we're seeing the emergence of base-to-base artillery. Taquito could possibly dislodge Jaguar in the middle though. Couple of TAC missile batteries over here, firing at the forward position. Looks like they're going after Pappy Noob's Fat Boy, impacting on the shield, weakening those for the time being. Actually, see if we can work out where Taquito's going with these Fat Boys, whether on a group preset or at least a multiple select move command. And it looks like they're going around that forward position instead of trying to take it out. What's on the vulnerable side of Chief Jaguar's base? Well, you have got this power grid at the back, but I really don't want to be rolling into this canyon with Fat Boys. It's a long way from home. They've got no support. Of course, not going to be much easier steaming in the front gate either up against two defending Fat Boys, although Pappy Noob's down into the red on his 2,800-900 hit points there. I think this is just an opportunistic little push from Taquito, trying to get some kills as and where he can. One of these Fat Boys with 30 kills only, but 5 stars, so he's killed 30 important things. This one, conversely, on 18 kills with just 1 star. And that Fat Boy wreck that's been sitting there the whole game has managed to be cannibalized by Pappy Noob. Even though it's on Team 1's side of the field, there's just not a lot going on in terms of development for Team 1 in the center. They're looking a little light, a little thin. They're not relying too much on the nature of this map. But Zoc has rebuilt one of his Dukes, a second one about 40% done. And not too far away from a second nuke in the clip there as well. But that Salvation very nearly complete indeed. About to hit 9,000 hit points of 10,000. There it goes. 10% remaining. And the Duke for a Chief Jaguar nearly complete as well. So it's going to be tough for Team 1 to keep up with the artillery, the base-to-base artillery game now that there's a Salvation, or there will be a Salvation very soon in the mix. Zoc getting another upgrade on his commander. Something to go alongside that personal shield gen and the T3 engineering suite. Morax sitting out over here, still trying to get Mexes online. He's on 237, Zox on 230 only, Chief Jaguar on 295, Pappy Noob on 275, Niquilich on 157 and Taquito on 187. But Morax just needs to try and build some stuff, and he's trying to get a Duke online as well. Just not happy about the amount of stuff Team 1 have on the field. They're looking a little thin. I mean, you compare it to the level of development we've got over here. I mean, not everything is crucial, admittedly, but there's just more stuff. Going to compare Zox ASF numbers to what a Chief Jaguar, who seems to be carrying the flag now for Team 2's airplay. 125 ASFs there for Zoc. The Chief Jaguar in the pile down here has 116, so not a huge amount in it. Whoever gets the better engage and has the better micro will undoubtedly emerge victorious out of that. But look at that spread. 3 nicely formed up Fat Boys there from Taquito. Tears through a lone Fat Boy in the middle for a Chief Jaguar, and the Fat Boy in the rear wants to think about hightailing it out of there. There is another one coming in from Pappy Noob. Still that salvation not quite there. 4% remaining on that. Duke very nearly complete. See what Zoc is prioritizing with his Duke. That shell coming in over the middle. Looks like it might be going straight after the salvation. Where else would you send it? Quite frankly, at this point in time, I would be panicking if I was on Team 1. Actually, if it was me, I would be shouting GG, raging, saying I quit. I don't really rage. I think you only rage if at any point in the game you expected there was a chance of you winning, and that's so far out of my remit. Zoc throwing in a few strap bombers there, trying to pick off Pappy Noob's Fat Boy, and that coupled with Taquito's Fat Boy fire are successful. You might think, well, why didn't he save it going after the salvation? Well, quite frankly, their best bet right now, it seems, is to try and get these 3 Fat Boys into sensitive positions. We do have some ground support on the way, but it's very far behind these experimentals indeed. Percival spread out and a long way from the front line. Another Fat Boy down here, facing odds of 2v1. That's going to get wiped out nice and quickly. But look at the rapid fire salvation now going to town on the power grid of Zoc. Surprised it's not more focused in on the Dukes. I guess he's hoping for a chain reaction, but the intermittent shield coverage should prevent that chain from rippling all the way through it. There goes a T3 air factory. And there goes 4 T3 power plants. Oh, for goodness sake, launch the nuke. It's going to go. There goes the nuke launcher with a nuke loaded inside, and Zoc is being torn asunder. How are we doing down here? Well, the 3 Fat Boys now are in almost spitting distance of the main base. This could be about to get very interesting indeed. Let's go to split screen and keep an eye on the damage that's being wrought by the salvation on Zoc's base and the 3 Fat Boys, which are now rolling up to the front of Pappy Noob's base. In fact, that lead one up here is in range of the salvation. Athilis telling his teammates to kill the SMD if you can. Zoc says, why? My nuke is dead. But I think Taquito is going to run out of Fat Boys. One down into the red, 2,500. The other into the yellow. Zoc has lost one of his 2 Dukes, but down go the shields. Just a couple of basic T2 remaining. Niquilich is standing in the blast zone as well. One hero Fat Boy against all odds, trying to win out against the shield gens, against the occasional Harbinger that's rolling in. We do still have some Duke fire rolling in. This is incredibly tense. Fat Boy down into the red, 4,100, but the Percivals are showing up. Those Percivals we saw in way in behind the Fat Boys a while ago. They are still in tow and they are reaching the main base. I think the Salvation is prioritizing something else. In fact, it's up here. Perhaps Farmschlet telling Pappy Noob to target the Duke. For goodness sake, the shielding is down around the Salvation. The Percivals are rolling up to the main base. In comes the Chief Jaguar with a Fat Boy. And down goes the Salvation, and the Quilich is looking very peaky indeed. 2,600 hit points remaining there. How many more shells to land from the Salvation? Will Zoc retain control of his artillery is the question. And in the midst of all that, there were too many things to keep up with. The Duke is still online for a Chief Jaguar. Taquito has run out of units. No, he hasn't. He's got some more. They're just heading south instead of into the main base. There's a target of opportunity down there. Those 4 T3 P-Gens and the 4 T3 air factories. And a whole load of T1 land factories going up there for, I'm guessing, mass Lobo spam or something similar. Unbelievable passage of play. And then things return to normality, or relative normality. 54 minutes gone in this one. And now, the only Fat Boy in the area belonging to a Chief Jaguar as he pushes out to kill off the last few units coming in from Taquito. His plan to get lots of T1 land factories online is not winning out, but what's going on here? A large number of strap bombers have located Morax, who's just so far away from any kind of defenses, it's unreal. Farmschlet taking his chance to goad in local chat. Starting some shield coverage now. I think that might be too little too late. In comes the next bombing run. And collateral damage from those large bombs taking out the shield gens. And in comes the Quilich to steal a kill with a couple of strats of his own. Why not? That's great timing there from the Quilich. Bags a healthy chunk of extra points for his progression, assuming this game is ranked, of course. And just when we thought we were going to see Team 2 go behind him, player count a few minutes later, it's Team 1 that loses another player. And they go behind once again. If there is a silver lining for Team 1, it's that Zoc and Taquito are the 2 members remaining. But I'm not sure anyone can come back from this position now. They do still have a Duke online. But the air advantage is gone. They have nothing in terms of air power. All of the play in the air game is now with Team 2. And Chief Jaguar is looking to press that advantage as he comes in now with his ambassadors going straight after Zoc's remaining Duke. That goes down. So Zoc now without a effective or an effective tool to strike back at the enemy at all. A Chief Jaguar with the only remaining Tech 3 artillery on the field. And once again, Pappy Noob and the Quilich going about their salvation building ways. Athilis says, I think this is about the right time to give up. I think you are probably right. Zoc immediately starts rebuilding, using that wreck to give him, of course, that 50% bonus to rebuilding that structure. Look at that, a cheeky little flare push from the Quilich coming up around the eastern edge. Looks like he might be able to pick off that T3 Mex, which has been taken down 1 or 2 times already in this game by Farmschlet. Firstly, we saw that little push up the side, went even further, in fact took out the one on the plateau further to the north as well. I don't think it's going to be successful. It's going to take so long to chew through that, and a broadsword from Zok rolls in to pick those off. Actually, if he kept mobile, he might be able to micro around the slow muzzle velocity of the broadsword. But undoubtedly, more important things on the field of play for Nikolic right now. And that would be softening up targets that are vulnerable around the map with the couple of strap bombers he's got. And we've got quite a few flayers in here for Zok, who has rebuilt the Duke incredibly quickly. That is impressive stuff. And it's no less impressive that he's still sitting on 235, 245, fluctuating here and there, ahead of everybody else, unless of course we're getting power drains here from Pappy, Noob, Nikolic. No, they're all looking relatively healthy on the eco side of things. Target with salvation. Message pings going down loud and clear from other members in Team 2. And once again, Team 2 find themselves absorbing fire. It's going straight after Chief Jaguar's Duke. That would be a sensible place to put it, although I'd also be very worried about how quickly that is progressing. But are they even aware it's being rebuilt? Well, they have scouted reasonably recently. And Duke with little or no shield coverage. Chief Jaguar gets about rectifying that. Oh, but needs to get one over here just where that last shell landed and get it quick. Another shell might finish that off. But the shield blinks on in time before the next shell comes flying in. Team 1 putting up a valiant effort here. Down goes the fat boy for a Chief Jaguar. And these Percivals in the centre aren't going to fare much better, I suspect. And of course, remember, there were 3 fat boys that rolled in here from Taquito. I think that was one of them. The other 2 have been cannibalised already, so it's a lot of extra mass that's been thrown at Team 2 over the course of this one. Of course, in turn, penalising the attacker. And it's probably one of the reasons that these Salvations keep getting rebuilt so quickly, because that is an expensive unit. Just remind ourselves how much it costs. Actually thought that had been moved to experimental. I thought being told it was going to be, but yeah, there it is. 202,000 mass. That is a significant investment right there. And this will be the 3rd time they've built it, pretty much. About 4% away from completion once again. And Zok and Taquito about to find themselves once again in the middle of a very bad hair day. Transport rolling in, but the support commander is going to airdrop that comm right by the fat boy. Rambo preset, up close and personal. That, with a little bit of assisting fat boy fire, will tear through it. And not before time. Zok's main base absorbing some of that fire. Another Duke about to complete, though, for Zok. Did he manage to kill a Chief Jaguar's artillery? No, he didn't. And there's a lot of shielding around it, albeit mostly Tech 2 shielding. A second Duke might be able to penetrate that, but the question is, now he sees Salvation fire rolling in, will those artilleries be redirected? I think that would probably be sensible for the uninitiated. Salvation is a rapid fire artillery, and it's more of a tickler, but it's relentless tickling, so it doesn't do large alpha strike, but it has huge spread. It's particularly devastating against shields. takes out or affects a large area, and it affects it quickly and consistently. And you can see it coming in now. You see that spread as it impacts across the shields, going straight after that central Duke of Zox, and it's just relentless. And that, coupled with a Chief Jaguar's Duke fire, will surely be enough to seal this game. Parashields rolling back in to try and offer a little extra protection. Zoc doing phenomenal work juggling the shields. Can blink shields off and on to increase the amount of effective benefit you get from them against artillery barrage, but that's exceptionally time consuming and APM consuming. As you can see, they have indeed gone after the Duke, but once again Nikolic and Pappy Noob having trouble protecting the Salvation. They just can't seem to get enough shield gens around it to keep the thing online. And Zoc, conversely, somehow keeping up with the Salvation. This is absolutely ridiculous. Now partially exposed. Pappy Noob building more shield gens, but incredibly slowly. His expenditure is maxed elsewhere. Second Duke now on the way for a Chief Jaguar as well. And once again, we've got Taquito pushing out in the center. So, absolutely outrageous passage of play. I cannot believe how well Zoc and Taquito are holding on here, but it might be short-lived. A Tsar on the way. 25,000 hit points at 58 complete, and the Nikolic expanding up to Morax's old stomping grounds in the top left of the map. That will give him a significant advantage in eco, and I would think surely be enough to push Team 2 over the edge. Taquito now finds his Fat Boy isolated in the middle. Nikolic jumps on it with a horde of restorers, and they slowly cut that down to size. This really is the December Artilla Fest. Loving your work, Zoc. Support commander going pop somewhere. Shield gens being spammed. Every now and again they detonate one on the ground. Those two Dukes just struggling to break through and kill off that Salvation. Support commander, or support commanders in the center for Taquito, spamming up players as quickly as they can. Trying to contend with the Restorer push, and of course the fire that's coming in from Pappy Noob's Fat Boy in the middle. Armschlet asking Nikolic to be a little more conservative with his Restorer play. And still, Zoc has kept those two Dukes online. But he is more or less contained to this whole area now, trying to keep up with that artillery fire. A couple of broadswords up here, trying to stem any tide that's rolling in from the Nikolic up the western edge of the map. And that Tsar nearly complete down here for Nikolic as well. I'm wondering if that's going to be a game changer as we hit 1 hour and 5 minutes in this one. Well and truly passing our classical Guile cast definition of epicosity, but down goes some more shields, and then another set blink on just in time. No, they don't! The Salvation is down again. actually want to send an electronic salute right now to Zok's artillery mastery. And really, he's lost like a handful of shield gens. That's it. A couple more shells will land from the Salvation, or that might have been the last one. And we've nearly got, or we've got a third Duke on the way as well. Tsar's online though. I would imagine the Dukes will be switched up to take out Chief Jaguar's Duke over here. Remember, most of this shielding's T2, so it shouldn't be too hard to penetrate. Pappy Noob and the Quillage with a huge mass gift right there. They've been reclaiming a little bit of it, I think. But it may have taken its toll in a different way. Could Team 2, or Team 1, sorry, be about to be overrun by a classical ground experimental push? 3 Fat Boys converging on Taquito's forward position, 1 in defense, another on the way. Decent base shielding, but nothing in terms of base mounted artillery or anything like that. But you know what? A big Tsar in the face might be what the Doctor had ordered for Team 2's dilemma right now. How to kill Zok and Taquito. A Tsar in the face. It unloads its super weapon over the top of the shielding. Will it kill the commander? It's going to land almost flush on top of it. No, it won't, but it will take it down to 5,700 hit points. The restorers in the area are cut down by Zok's ASFs. A couple more restorers brought in by Pappy Noob. They're not going to fare much better. But the 2 Fat Boys coming in from the west are what Taquito has to worry about right now. He's still got 1 in position over here. And another one on the way. That's about 50% done. Zok still trying to increase the amount of Dukes he has available. Hasn't managed to kill off Jaguar's T3 static, and another Salvation on the way. Starting right at the 50% mark, using that wreck, but there's nothing being dedicated to it right now. Couple of restorers coming in to trying to kill off that Fat Boy. Won't be close at all. I was about to say it's going to be close, but it really won't. They were just out of range of the SAMs. They stray into range of the SAMs, and they're going to get picked off. But the Fat Boys are going to be a major obstacle now, I think, for Taquito. He's got 2 from Pappy Noob, 1 from Jaguar, and he's nowhere near completing the next one that he's just started. He's built 1, lost another, so his situation hasn't improved, and he's very low on defenses, ground-based. And now we've got Naquilich rolling in with some Harbingers. Outline TMD going first. Jaguar with plenty of T3 shielding now, and about to complete a second Duke as well. Things are looking good now for Team 2. Could we be about to see a killing blow be dealt? That Fat Boy not likely to get completed now as Harbingers and Percivals turn up. We did have a couple of Ravagers over here. They're focusing on the Percys in the middle, but they can't do anything about the long-range fatty fire coming in from the west. Oh dear. And really, we've got new facilities going up at the back over here, and we have some over here, but this was Taquito's essential base. This was everything. All of his production was happening here. His comms had to drop back to the safety of Zok's base, and this kind of core shielded section of Zok's base now is really the only bastion left for Team 1. valiant, valiant defense. And there were times, I think, when we saw the Salvations go down, when it looked like it might tip in favor of Team 1. But really, it was in fact the constant production of the Salvations which tied up so much of the Duke's fire. If they were able to pick targets elsewhere, might have been a different game. But in the end, Team 1 overwhelmed by ground forces, and Aquilic setting up shop with tons of T1 factories, and now just flinging T1 artillery into the fight. I see some kennels going up, some engineering drones to assist Zok in his defense, but even that mighty array of shielding that Zok erected to keep out the Salvation fire is having trouble contending with the amount of artillery that's coming in from these three fat boys over the cliff edge. And there's your screenshot of the week right there. Oh, one of the fat boys destroyed by some counter fat boy fire. Planes landing in our face, that's always pleasant. But they're being converged on by all sides right now. Aquilic heading up from the south along with a couple of units from a Chief Jaguar. Those fat boys clinging to the edge of the cliff as they exchange fire with what was a fat boy in the middle of Zok's base. That's now been destroyed. And now huge waves of T1 spam rolling in to dish out some pain and destruction. Another fat boy coming in from the center, and everything right now is just moving top right on the whole map. A large amount of restorers for Aquilic, bearing down, looking hungry for a com kill. We have flayers in there prioritizing the T3 PGen. Taquito standing right next to it, doesn't want to be next to that when that thing goes off. Take a large chunk out of his HP. Like a quick reclaim from Taquito to prevent the structure from exploding. But Zok is going to go down first, right next to a PGen when it goes up, absorbing Percival fire from the south from a Chief Jaguar and artillery fire from the fat boys over here. He drops out at 1 hour, 11.5 minutes, and Taquito is left withdrawing to the top right-hand corner, and he's going to eat a massive ambassador run of strap bombers from a Chief Jaguar. Down they go in spectacular fashion. Well, you've got to give them credit where credit's due. What a holdout there from a team which was largely in a better position for much of that. Ever since the demise of Morax, it really looked like it was flowing one way. But then, even then, when they took out the Salvations again and again, he thought, well, maybe they can get on top of this. Maybe if they can cause enough damage. But alas, it wasn't to be. Spectacular job, Team 2. Very, very nicely done indeed. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. There's always more to come from me in the future. And thank you, incidentally, for people who've donated on Patreon. One person in particular, I'm not going to say your name, but you know who you are, a very significant one-time donation. They sent me a message to say it was a one-time thing. Because they didn't know how Patreon didn't allow you to donate one-time things, so he was going to have to remove it for the next month. If you want to do a one-time donation, guys, you can find my PayPal address there as well if you're not comfortable doing a Patreon thing, because I understand some people don't. All donations are very much accepted, very much pleasantly accepted and gratefully received. They help support me, my family, and thus the channel. I know I don't get content out as much as I would like, but it is all very welcome, and I will do my best going forward. Time's just tough at the moment. But anyway, if you'd like to support me on Patreon, details in the comments section below, and PayPal also there as well. As I said, hope you enjoyed it, guys. More to come from me in the future. Like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. But until next time, stay well and stay safe. This is Guile, signing out.